Hello my beautiful friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can tell, we are in my living room and I thought what better way to talk to you guys about cozy books than to sit in my cozy living room by the Christmas tree and just share with you guys some amazing books that I cannot wait to read. I'm calling this video recommendations for beginners mainly because all of these series I'm going to be talking about are the #1 in a series. So if you don't know where the heck to start, I'm only going to be talking about the first in a series for all of these books, so hopefully that gives you a place to start. But just this year, within the last couple months actually, I have read my first ever cozy mysteries, and let me just tell you, I have not only fallen in love, but I have a huge obsession for this genre now, and it's so funny that I've been seeing that it's kind of trending among a lot of other booktubers now, because before, the only thing I had to base cozy mysteries off of was the grandmas or elderly ladies I would see in the aisle looking at these books, and I just figured, oh well, that doesn't necessarily fit my age range, so maybe these books aren't for me. Let me tell you, I was way too quick to judge because there are all kinds of different cozy mysteries. We have bookshop mysteries, foodie mysteries, paranormal, and magical, and I have slowly been collecting over the past few months many of these different types of all different genres because I have been exploring what I really love in cozy mysteries. And my absolute favorite thing about cozy mysteries is, yes, I love a good mystery thriller, but if you're not prepared for some of the trigger warnings or the dark side of mystery thrillers, it can really catch you off guard. But I feel like with cozy mysteries, you are full aware what you are getting into. There's no blood, there's no gore, there's sometimes a romance subplot to it, and you just know it's gonna be more of a feel-good read versus like a mystery thriller where, like I said, it can be super dark. So over the past couple months, I have collected quite a few, you could say. I have about 30 different series here to share with you guys. I have been gifted some. I also have a couple amazing different book thrift stores in my area where you could find them super cheap. I have just been slowly collecting, starting a shelf, and I'm just so excited to share these with you guys. I'm not gonna go super into detail about these, but the way I am going to go about this is I am going to categorize them. So we will have bookshop mysteries, we will have kind of miscellaneous, paranormal, magical, bake shop, or food, and then at the end I'm going to be talking about 3 or 4 Christmas or wintry cozy mysteries. If you're looking for those right now, I definitely got you. So without further rambling and talking about my obsession about this genre now, let's just go ahead and dive straight into it with some of the bookshop or more bookish cozy mysteries. The first book or series I want to talk about is by Amanda Flower, and it's called Crime and Poetry. This one could kind of fall in the bookshop category, but also the magical fantasy category, because in this book we have Grandma Daisy, who owns a magical bookstore. I do not know what that means, but I definitely need to find out. Caitlin has really been a huge influencer to me when it comes to basically all of these cozy mysteries. She has read so many different series, and everything she talks about I just want to pick up instantly. So this is one of the #1 top series she continues to talk about. But one day there's a dead man that shows up in Grandma's shop clutching a volume of Emily Dickinson's poems, and I don't know what the poems have to do with the story, but I'm very eager to find out. I do know in this bookstore, books fly off the shelves because they choose you. You don't choose them, and if that doesn't sound like the perfect bookish series, I honestly don't know what does. The next series I have here is Lending a Paw by Lori Cass, and this is about a traveling book mobile. You guys, are you kidding me? A traveling bookshop sounds so cute, and there's this precious cat who actually ends up finding the dead victim out in the streets. And one other thing I love about cozy mysteries is there's always some type of animal companion, which I think is so cute and so sweet, and most of the time they're cats. So I just feel like this genre is absolutely totally me, but this book just sounds so cute and so good for many different different reasons, but our main character is a librarian and she decides to take it upon herself to try to figure out this murder. So I love the traveling part of this, I love the bookshop part of this, and I really just think this is going to be right up my alley. Next, I have Homicide in hardcover, which is a bibliophile mystery. I love kind of this mix of old-timey but illustrated cover. It just looks so cute. I am obsessed with the illustration and artwork in cozy mysteries. Never thought I would be, but here we are. The part that really drew this book to my attention is our main character, Brooklyn, is actually a skilled surgeon in the book department. She knows how to put spines back together, fix the leather, do all these things with different books. In this town, there's some type of author event where a man turns up dead and his last words are "Remember the devil." So Brooklyn takes it upon herself, of course, like any main character in a cozy mystery, to figure out what that cryptic message means, and I'm also very, very intrigued. Next, I have The Broken Spine, which is a beloved bookroom mystery by Dorothy St. James, and on the back it says a small-town assistant librarian discovers that protecting the printed word is harder than she'd ever imagined. In fact, it's murder. And just reading the back, I remember why I picked this up in the first place, not only because it's bookish, but because it is set in a lovely town called Cypress, South Carolina, which I actually believe isn't too far from me. So obviously that's gonna help me imagine the setting and the small town vibes a little bit better. So I'm very excited about the atmosphere in this one. But our main character is a librarian, and sadly they are trying to turn the library into a technological center. The manager, who is trying to transform this whole library, actually turns up dead. And I'm just very, very excited for this one because I feel like it's just gonna be right up my alley. It's in my state, has to do with the library, and it just sounds perfect for me. The next book I have here is Chapter and Curse by Elizabeth Penny, which I'm just gonna read you the back because that's what originally sucked me in. I was like, wait, someone can get murdered that way? Like, some cozy mysteries are a little bit unbelievable. Like, I have trouble envisioning some of it, but this one just sounded so good. Librarian Molly and her mother Nina need a change, so when a letter arrives from Nina's Aunt Violet in Cambridge, England, requesting their help running the family bookshop, they jump at the chance. Thomas Marlowe Manuscripts and Folios is one of the oldest bookshops in Cambridge, and unfortunately, customers can tell. When Molly and Nina arrive, spring has come to Cambridge and the famed Cambridge Literary Festival is underway. Determined to bring much-needed revenue to the bookstore, Molly invites Aunt Violet's college classmate and famed poet Persephone to hold a poetry reading in the shop. The event ends up in disaster when a guest is found dead, with Molly's great-aunt's knitting needle used as the murder weapon? Okay. The fact that this is set in England also just gives me so many good vibes. I can just imagine this small little bookshop. I'm just so here for this book. The next book I have, which I'm so happy is like a real book size, it's not mass market paperback, which is so much easier to hold. This one is called The Secret Book and Scone Society by Ellery Adams. Strangers flock to Miracle Springs hoping the natural hot springs, five-star cuisine, and renowned spa can cure their ills. If none of that works, they often find their way to Miracle Books, where over a fresh-baked comfort scone, they exchange their stories with the owner, Nora Pennington, in return for a carefully chosen book. That's Nora's special talent, prescribing the perfect novel to ease a person's deepest pain. So when a visiting businessman reaches out for guidance, Nora knows exactly how to help. But before he can keep their appointment, he's found dead on the train tracks. The fact that this lady not only owns a bookstore herself, but she sits there and she takes time to talk to people, get to know them, and recommend them a book, like, how amazing is that? Plus, there's baking involved. Like, hello, yes please, can this bookshop be real? Because sign me up. If you are a food person like I am, definitely grab a snack for this next round of 5 books because these are the bakery or foodie books that I'm going to be talking about, and they may or may not make you hungry like I was when I read the synopsis of some of these books. The second ever cozy mystery I read was actually Death by Dumpling by Vivian Chen. I loved this so much, but if you you are someone that loves the Asian culture, Asian food, Chinatown, small town feels, you are going to love this book so much, and hopefully the whole series. This is set in a small town village, or kind of like a strip of a bunch of small town shops, where one of them is a noodle shop. Many people within this town order from this restaurant. Our main character works there, her family owns it, but one day someone delivers a customer shrimp which he is allergic to, ends up dying. So our main character decides to team up with her best friend, which I loved the friendship dynamic in this book. It was so cute and so good, but they team up together to kind of collect clues and talk to suspects. But I just loved the Asian culture, the Asian representation in this one. You guys know I love a good anime and manga, so this was just right up my alley and I really enjoyed it. And the next book I have is Death by Bubble Tea by Jennifer J. Chow. I picked this up probably because you guys already know I love a good bubble tea, I love boba, but all I know about this book is it's about two cousins who own this boba or bubble tea shop or stand, and one of their customers literally dies drinking their boba. So I don't know if they choked on a boba bubble. I mean, I have no idea what happens, but I need to find out. But I also love the fact that it seems like there's going to be a pretty good family dynamic within this one, especially because these two cousins seem pretty close. This just also sounded right up my alley because I love bubble tea, so why not give it a shot? The next book is called Body and Soul Food by Abby Collette. This is probably some of my favorite artwork. I love the simple illustration, and I just think the whole idea of this series sounds so cozy and so cute. It is a books and biscuits mystery. Fraternal twins Keaton and Kobe will pull double duty when they take down a killer while preparing to open their new bookstore and soul food cafe, Books and Biscuits. I'm sorry, a bookstore with food. Not only food, but biscuits. I cannot imagine the cozy bakery vibes and descriptions that are going to be in this book. And I love the fact that it's twins. There's even a cat, a Siamese cat on the back. So you know I'm gonna pick this one up. The next book I have is a bake shop mystery called Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander, and the main reason I picked this one up is because Ellie Alexander seems to be very popular within the cozy mystery community. That could be just me, but I know there's a lot in this series, and I think this is just gonna be a really good place to start because there's very good reviews, and I honestly don't know much about this one at all, but I do know that our main character, she graduates from culinary school and she goes back to, I think, Oregon, where she helps her mom at the family bakery, and I think a customer or a tourist that comes in ends up eating one of their sweets and dies. So I don't know much about it other than that, but I really just wanted to pick this one up because I do know this is a more popular author and I figured it's a good place to start. The next book that I actually picked up yesterday without realizing it's actually number 2, so I am gonna have to pick up number 1, is Gone for Gouda by Karina Moss. I am lactose intolerant, but I do love cheese, and sometimes I risk eating some cheese because I love it so much. But the first book in this series is actually called Cheddar Off Dead, so do not pick this one up if you do want to read it within chronological order. I know in the first book there is a food critic that decides to come to the cheese shop, and I think he ends up turning up dead, but the whole reason I wanted to pick up this series is because Lauren super duper loves it, and if Lauren loves it, that means I'm probably gonna love it too. But I also love the fact that this is so specific about cheese. Like, who doesn't love cheese? Next, we are gonna go right into kind of the miscellaneous or just general mysteries. They do all have specific themes to them, but these just fall under different categories, whether they're summary. You will see what I'm talking about. But the first one that Kendall brought to my attention that I had to get is called Pride, Prejudice, and Peril, a Jane Austen Tea Society mystery. Yes, please. Who doesn't love Jane Austen? Who doesn't love a good classic book? But I'm gonna read you the back of this because I don't know what to expect from this, but it just sounds like such an intriguing book. Phaedra Brighton is perfectly content with her life of lecturing college students, gossiping with her best friends, and dreaming of Mr. Darcy. She is a young, respected English professor, and her expertise lies in all things Jane Austen, but she knows that the closest she'll ever get to being a real-life Elizabeth Bennet is in her dreams. When Who Wants to Marry Mr. Darcy, a new reality TV show, starts filming at her best friend Charlene's estate, Phaedra is very intrigued, and when the producer asks her to lend her Austinian knowledge as a consultant on the show, she is over the moon. But on the first day of filming, when Charlene's new husband is found electrocuted and Charlene himself is accused of the crime, Phaedra comes crashing back to reality. This just sounds very action-packed. I'm sure there's going to be so many different Jane Austen references, so if you are someone that loves Jane Austen, what are you waiting for? The next series I have is another one by Ellery Adams called Murder in the Mystery Suite, which is a book retreat mystery. Initially, why I picked this one up is I believe at this retreat there's some type of fantasy role-playing kind of scavenger hunt or game that the guests can play, but you guys know I'm a huge fantasy reader. I don't know if it's actually magical or not. I'm not getting those vibes from this, but you guys know I had to check it out, because if someone mentions a role-playing game or a scavenger hunt or anything fantasy, I mean, that's pretty much a buzzword for me, so I am excited to see what I think of this series. This next book I'm definitely going to be saving for summertime or springtime because it's called Death at High Tide, an Island Sisters mystery by Hannah Dennison. Immediately when someone says island or sisters, I love a good sister dynamic or family dynamic in books, and this is just gonna be such a perfect read to transition into summertime. But I do know it starts off pretty solemn with our main character's husband. I think he actually drops dead of a heart attack, and there's a mysterious note that is found among his possessions. Evie actually may own the rights to a crumbling Art Deco hotel, so she and her sister actually book a flight to go to this location of where the hotel is and try to figure out if she actually owns all this property or this estate, but then someone actually turns up dead. But I just really thought this would be fun to put on my list going into summer or spring. I feel like definitely with cozy mysteries, there's something for every season, so I had to add this one to my collection. The next book I have is Death in Castle Dark by Veronica Bond, and it is actually a dinner and a murder mystery. I love the fact that this takes place at an old castle where our main character, I think, goes here to film a television series. I think she's an actress from what I remember, but then one of the victims that's supposed to be dead on the TV show, I think actually may turn up dead. I think my friend Jordan described this book as feeling like she was reading a giant game of Clue, and I think that's just gonna be a really fun time. I grew up playing Clue. I can just imagine kind of this layout in a castle with different rooms, different murder weapons. I don't know if food's gonna be involved. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm very eager to find out. The next one I have is A Dark and Stormy Murder by Julia Buckley. It is a writer's apprentice mystery, and it's one I actually meant to read in the fall because you have a lot of that fall foliage. But in this series, we have our main character who ends up getting the job to be an assistant to one of her favorite writers ever. But when she gets there, I think there is a dead victim out on the lawn of this author's estate, so I'm very interested to see what's gonna happen in this book. But another one of the main reasons I wanted to pick this up is because it says there's gothic vibes to it, like this is more of a gothic home, so I hope there's a little bit of maybe a creep factor in here. I don't think it's full out like paranormal or magical, but if it makes me a little bit scared, I think I'm gonna love it. The next book that I have not seen anyone talk about, but when I heard the title and I saw the cover, and of course there's cats, I had to give it a shot, especially because it was so cheap. It's called Curiosity Thrilled the Cat, a magical cat's mystery. Our main character is a small town librarian. There is some type of festival or event where someone turns up dead, of course, but she actually adopts these two cats who may or may not be magical. At least that's the hint that I'm getting behind the synopsis here. So I think they somehow help her solve the mystery, but I mean, cats, come on, I just had to do it. Next, we're gonna go straight into the cozy mysteries that have a little bit of magic to them, which personally I think are gonna be favorites of mine, mainly because the first ever cozy mystery I read, which I should have talked about first because I could rant about this book for days, is In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace, and the second book is called When the Crow's Away. This book is actually one of my favorites that I've read this entire year. I feel like no other cozy mystery is going to compare to it, and I really do think you have to like a little bit of fantasy in your books to really appreciate this one. But in this story, we have our main character, Bryn, who runs this bed and breakfast with her two aunts, and let me tell you, they're some of my favorite characters of all time now. This really reminded me of Practical Magic even, so if you like Practical Magic, definitely give this one a try. But of course, someone turns up dead in their B&B. This not only was a mystery, but it was a very hard-hitting book to where I was tearing up in the end. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster for me, and it does explore grief because Bryn's husband recently passed away. She does have magical abilities herself, but since her husband died, she swore off ever using magic again. So in this book, she kind of comes back into her powers, and I'm just so excited to see what happens in book 2 because these characters just hold such a special place in my heart. I don't know if it's because it's the first cozy mystery book or series I've ever tried, but if you do not try any of these in this book haul, please give this one a shot. The next book I have is A Potion to Die For by Heather Blake. Not gonna lie, this was kind of a cover buy for me. I love the illustration style and of course the cats on the front. I know very little about this one, but I think it's about an elderly lady who runs a potion shop. They're not just potions though, they are love potions, and I think this is a little bit heavier on the romance because of that. So I don't know what happens. I just know there's a man that shows up in her shop clutching one of her potions, and obviously he's dead. So I'm kind of going into this one blind, but I mean, this cover honestly just sold me by itself. Next, I have Bait and Witch by Angela M. Sanders, which I know very little about, but because it has witchy vibes or witchy themes and it's magical, I knew I had to pick it up. And I think our main character is actually a librarian. I really don't know much more than that at all, but I do know this one is very highly rated, and I know a lot of my friends have actually read this one and really enjoyed this as well, so I had to add this one to my collection as well. Next, I have another book that I definitely will be reading around springtime. It's called Daisies for Innocence by Bailey Cottrell. It's an enchanted garden mystery. If I had known there was fantasy cozy mysteries or magical cozy mysteries, I would have picked up this genre long ago. This just looks so cute, and there's a little Welsh corgi on the front. The enchanted garden behind Eliana Albright's perfume shop draws people of all ages with its fragrant flowers and lush greenery. But when the magical serenity is interrupted, it's up to Ellie to track down the killer. I have wanted to read this book for so long based on cover vibes only, and I just really hope that the story lives up to how much I love this cover. Next, I have A Spell for Trouble, an enchanted bay mystery by Esme Addison. This apothecary is a family-owned business, and our main character goes back to the small town to help them out, and it sounds like there is forbidden affairs, family rivalries, and the truth about our main character's own ancestry. It sounds like it could be a little bit more dark, I guess you could say, in comparison to some of these other cozy mysteries, but I am so excited to find out the magical system in this book, or just see if there's any magical elements. I'm assuming there is because it's an enchanted bay mystery, but I just know I'm gonna love this one because I love anything that has to do with an apothecary as well, but also the fact that this takes place in North Carolina is very close to me. Anything that is set near me, I'm probably gonna pick up. The next book is Curse the Day by Annabelle Chase, a a spellbound, paranormal, cozy mystery. I've heard that this series has so many books to it, which I'm a little bit intimidated by. This one, or the first one, came out in 2017, but my friends Lauren and Keisha absolutely fell in love with this, so I trust their opinion. Welcome to Spellbound, where paranormal is the new normal. The only magic Emma Hart believes in is caffeine and the power of the dryer to lose one sock per load. A public interest lawyer buried under a mound of student debt, Emma's whole life has been one turn of bad luck after another. Her streak seems to continue when she gets lost on the way to see a client in the remote Pocono Mountains. A chance encounter with a suicidal angel lands her in Spellbound, a town where supernaturals have been cursed to remain for centuries. Probably not the best time for Emma to discover that she's actually a witch. I am very excited to probably read this in the fall. The next book I'm also probably gonna wait to read in the fall because I did not get the chance to put it on a TBR this year. It is called Death Overdue, a haunted library mystery by Allison Brooke. Carrie Singleton is just about done with Clover Ridge, Connecticut until she's offered a job as the head of programs and events at the spooky local library, complete with its own librarian ghost. Her first major event is a program presented by a retired homicide detective, Al Buckley, who claims he knows who murdered Laura Foster, a library aide who was bludgeoned to death 15 years earlier. As he invites the audience to share stories about Laura, he suddenly keels over, and of course he dies. I mean, this book had me at a library ghost. We have 3 more books to talk about, and yes, these are all the Christmas or wintry cozy vibes that you are looking for this season, and one of them or 2 of them I have almost finished now and can definitely say I would recommend. The first one that I just recently finished is Apple Cider Slang by Julie Ann Lindsay. I do have to shout out my friends at the Cozy Hollow Book Club. If you guys are new to cozy mysteries or you want to join a cozy mystery book club, I'm going to leave their information in the description below. This was their pick for December, and I really enjoyed this one, and I really hope to continue on with this series. We have our main character, Winnie, who runs this orchard with her granny, which is such a sweet relationship. I loved that part about this book, but they unfortunately may possibly go out of business. So in order to try to get some business back, they want to host like this big event or a festival, but things go terribly wrong when Granny's nemesis in the town shows up or turns up dead within the apple cider press. There is a lot wrapped into this book, so if you love family dynamics or family drama, if you love just those cozy Christmas feels, something a little bit more fast-paced, I can definitely say you'll probably enjoy this one. Next up, I have A Cup of Holiday Fear by Ellie Alexander, which yes, is I think number 4 in the Meet Your Baker series, so I did skip around a little bit. I have not read this one yet, but what I do know about it is it still takes place at the same bake shop, I think, in this book. Every year there's a big feast where tourists come and they just want to explore this small town, and I think someone ends up turning up dead at the feast. I really don't know much more than that, but it's Christmassy. I might possibly pick it up before the year ends, and yeah, I feel like there are not that many Christmassy books in general, but there's definitely a lot of fun Christmas cozy mysteries. If this one is not on your radar, now it is. Last but not least is a new release that I started a few weeks ago. I still have not finished it yet, but I can definitely say I'm enjoying it so much. I cannot wait to pick this up and finish it. It is called Dead in Gondola by Anne Claire, a Christie bookshop mystery. Obviously, if you love Agatha Christie, there are so many references to Miss Marple. I personally have never read a Miss Marple mystery myself, but the wintry cozy vibes in this book are absolutely on point. In this book, we have a historic bookshop where writers come to take a retreat. This is in the Swiss style kind of mountains, and these two run the bookshop along with their cat named Agatha after Agatha Christie. But one day the authors are having a meeting and this guy just randomly shows up. The sisters have never seen him before. They kind of get a weird feeling about him, so they decide to follow him, but then he ends up dying in a gondola. So the sisters of course can only assume that it is some sort of murder. So I have not gotten very far other than that, but at the beginning I was very surprised because it was kind of spooky and eerie, but then I could also just imagine like the very quiet like snowy mountains. And overall, this book is just very, very atmospheric. I love the sister duo, the way they banter together, and this is just such a good book. I don't know why it's taken me so long to pick up, but if you are looking for more of a wintry cozy mystery versus a Christmas mystery, I feel like this could be a good option. Alrighty friends, there is my big giant cozy mystery haul, but I am just so excited to dive more into this genre even going into next year. I hope that if you are a beginner or you have never read a cozy mystery before, hopefully this motivates you to try it out. Hopefully you found something specific within this haul that you want to give a try. I also just have to give a big shout out to my friends Lauren, Rachel, and Caitlin, who really have sparked my interest in this genre. And like I said, if you guys are looking for a cozy mystery book club yourself, definitely check out the Cozy Hollow book club. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. I hope you are having a cozy, amazing holiday season, and I will see you in my next video.